Paul Wilkins, welcome to the Pre-Construction Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're, you're looking sharp in your Hammers jersey.
Well, someone's got to wear it, right, mate. And this shirt's pretty retro. It's 1986. That's when we were any good. When we when we finished third in the league, and I think Liverpool won that year, or it was Liverpool, Everton, and us, like vying, and it went down to the wire. And yeah,
No
the Scousers,
surprise.
the Scousers won. But that was
Yes.
special times for me.
I tell you what, 86, I was four at that time, Paul. So I tell you,
Right.
good times. But you can't beat the old jersey. So anybody listening from the US has no interest in football, just fast forward about 6 minutes. The next, the next 6 minutes is going to be football. Then we're going to get into pre-construction.
All
Um,
right.
but yeah, it's a nice jersey. I honestly like the way there's no logo, and I like the way that I do like the old Barcelona jersey where it's just a crest and the logo and no sponsor.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Avco might have been one of the very first sponsors. I can't remember that far back. I mean, it's nearly 40 years ago, but I do remember the team. And if you're only four, you don't. Maybe somebody else does. But, we had Frank McAvenny and Tony Cottee up front, and, they were absolutely magic. And it was just an
Well, Tony
absolute pleasure.
Tony Cottee must have been very young at the time because I remember Tony Cottee
Yeah,
playing in the 90s.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's about my age, which is getting on a bit.
Yeah. Easy.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, it's football back then in the 80s and the 90s was unbelievable. And we talked about it. We talk about the MLS quite a lot in the US. I mean, you can almost see a little bit of the MLS bubbling now with the whole Inter Miami, Messi, Charlotte, Atlanta. There's some amazing teams and real appetite for it.
Yeah. And, just to let you know as well that, Oklahoma City are just getting ready to build a brand new soccer stadium here. I think it's going to be about 30,000 capacity. And then there's
Wow.
going to be concerts, and hopefully they're going to be, start pressing the football home here as well. There was a team here a couple of years ago called the OKC Energy.
Yeah.
Um, for whatever reason, I don't know, it just sort of like faded away. I don't think it was because they didn't have a decent stadium. But anyway, there are a bunch of people now who are pumping money into it. Plus, Oklahoma City, if anybody don't know, have got a penny sales tax added to their money. We call it the MAPS program, which help to finance projects like this. So this will be going out as a CM at risk job, and I know JE Dunn have got we've got a sports group vertical specialist group. We actually built the new National Women's Soccer Stadium in Kansas City. That it's been open, I don't know, less than a year. JE Dunn built that, so I know that our sports group, and hopefully with us, helping them out, we can pull that one in as well. And I mean, as I'm getting towards the end of my career, what a great job that would be to build.
Unbelievable. A football fan building a football stadium. We
I know it's
and Paul, you can give all your English football DNA, culture, history of what makes a stadium so good. Class.
yeah, and it just you know, it gives me shivers to think about it. Really, to think that I could be involved with something like that. So
And then
let's let's.
going there every week as well. And come here, surely building a stadium like that, there must be talks of MLS. I mean, they're not going to build that to play local football.
I was thinking about that on a drive in this morning, and obviously, I mean, they're not doing it just, there's obviously a long-term game plan there, and I would imagine that is it. That is it. And when you think about Oklahoma City and that, they're going to pull in this stadium, and I don't know if you know this, Gareth, but we're also getting ready to build a new $1 billion arena for the Thunder
Wow. Is that
right
Jay
here in.
Dunn?
No, it's not JE Dunn. The design team have only just been selected,
Cool.
but they are going to be building it, and there's a lot of good stuff coming up in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that later because I think Oklahoma's a little bit of a sleeping giant when you think about work-life balance and standard of living. But
Oh,
let's just
absolutely.
finish on football. How well is West Ham going to finish this season? Because they were just thrashed 4-1 by Spurs at the weekend. Paul, what's happening?
Next question.
Oh, brilliant. Next question. No comment.
No, I think I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the new fella,
Yeah.
and I can't even pronounce his name. But
I tell you what, David Moyes. I mean, people were critical of him, but I mean, the European trophy. Maybe the style wasn't in keeping with the usual West Ham way, but my God, did he do well enough? Were you a fan?
yeah, it was. And like, talk about the West Ham way. We haven't played the West Ham way since the boys of '86.
Yeah,
So, it's in people's imagination, a lot of it. And these days you have to play a different game. If you're not in the Premiership, you're nobody. So,
yeah,
and then when you're in there, as you know, West Ham have got the new stadium. We took over the Olympic Stadium from the 2012 games. Not a purpose-built football stadium, but I believe the fans are getting used to it.
good.
So, you know, I don't know. It's just a different day and age, different game.
Well, as I look down the table from the top as a Liverpool fan, it's going all so rosy for us in the
You see,
Champions
you've just
League.
put the mockers on it now.
I have, haven't I? Brilliant.
Yeah, we got
I'm actually looking to go to the Leverkusen Champions League game. So
nice.
yeah, just for you West Ham fans out there, that's when you get into the Champions League and you finish in the top four, you wouldn't know anything about
Yeah, thanks a lot. Well, we won a
that.
European trophy.
Well, you did. You want that most recently as well,
Yeah,
and that's why it's hard to believe that Moyes was got rid of. I mean, surely
yeah,
but that carries a little bit of weight to see you through another couple of years.
yeah. Oh well, we'll see
Uh,
what happens.
Good.
Fortune's always hiding, as they say, as a
That's
West
right.
Ham fan.
Lead with the heart. Okay, Paul. Let's get through it. So, if anybody doesn't know you, Paul, VP of Pre-Construction Services for JE Dunn out of Oklahoma, um, give us an idea of responsibilities right now in that current role, and then we'll take it all the way back to your time in the UK.
Okay, so at the moment, I'm responsible for a team of 5 people, and we look after all of the pre-construction services for JE Dunn within Oklahoma State. Um, we do get the opportunity also. The way JE Dunn's structured is they've got different vertical specialist markets as well, like data centers, healthcare, everything else. So if there's an ultra large data center or healthcare project that's coming up within Oklahoma, we get the opportunity to work with those guys as well, to help them with the pre-construction side. So, I always just try and simplify it for people is that we do everything within our department before a shovel hits the ground.
Yeah.
From, we're looking at the costing, bid packages, providing our own in-house estimates before we send it out to bid, things like that. And, I've got to say that, after all my years in this industry, I've got a team here now that are just absolutely amazing, and all I'm doing, all my job here is to support them. And, I'm just looking at an email that I just received, honestly, 5 minutes. I wanted to, it's from a vice president of one of our architectural companies telling me what a good job one of my team has been doing, and that he just wants to let me know that, good work needs to be recognized. I mean, to get emails like that, you're doing something pretty good.
Love it. And we don't get enough of those emails as well. I mean, we're always very quickly to criticize, but yet not praise enough. So I like that. We need to do that a little bit more. So let's take us back. You're going by your accent, you're definitely not from the south of the US. Talk to us about your time all the way back to Hackney whenever you went to the technical college. Was it always
Right.
construction for you?
It wasn't, Gareth. So like I was brought up in Stratford, East London, where the actual stadium is now. And my father and his father alone worked in the docks. They unloaded ships and did things like that. So I think that the thought was when I left school that I would just follow them into the docks. And to cut a long story short, there was a lot of political rigmarole going on in the late 70s, and a lot of strikes and things like that. And I just got the opportunity to go and speak to a local building contractor who were looking for someone to be an apprentice bricklayer. And so that I went along, and that's what I did. I was an apprentice bricklayer for 4 years, then went out, on the tools, self-employed, and just sort of like made my way up, through the industry from there. No college degree, nothing like this, just the experience, and without trying to pat myself on the back too hard, just bloody hard work, just got me where I am today, and just been very fortunate. Although to a degree you do make your own luck, to be working for a company like JE Dunn at the end of my career.
Yeah, I love it. Off the trades. Listen, we can't get enough people off the trades. I know it's a nightmare because we're stealing people from the trades, but if you've got a diverse team and consistent of somebody from the trades, it's a hell of a perspective. And then Oakmount Construction in the US. Did you start there as a brickie on the trades and then worked your way up to estimating manager?
No, so Oakmont Construction was a company, obviously in the UK, that a friend of mine sort of started, and he asked me to come across as a project executive or project manager, first of all, which I did, and they had an estimator working for them. This would have been in like early 2000s. So I was working as a PX, and then for some reason he left, and like they said, would you consider taking over? And so I did. And back in the day, then the guys were still using scale rules and coloring pencils to do their takeoff and all that. And so I was the one who was kind of instrumental in bringing in, the software to do the takeoff and the estimating software, and instead of writing it all in a ledger book and things like that. So yeah, and I quickly got to really enjoy doing it, and I've been doing it ever since. So this is my 25th year in pre-con.
Brilliant. And what was the trip to the US? What made you come across the Atlantic?
So I met and married my wife, who's from America in England, and we would come here to Oklahoma on vacation, during the holidays, etc. And back in 2014, her mum got sick. So the solution was that we both moved here, so that she could, help look after her mum.
Wonderful, brilliant.
And I just never went back.
Brilliant. And then JE Dunn, obviously getting the role with JE Dunn. How difficult was that? What sort of opportunities were available when you arrived?
Well, at the time, Gareth, Oakmont, they couldn't find someone to replace me. So it was quite strange that I was in 2014. They set me up remotely in Oklahoma City, and I was doing what everybody did during COVID in 2014. So when it really happened, I knew what to expect. But anyway, I was sitting at home on my own, getting a bit fed up with it, and I joined the local ASPE, and I was going there on a monthly basis, and someone said to me, "Are you ever going to get a job in America?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I would. Do you know anyone who's looking?" And he said, "Well, actually, yeah, there's this guy here from JE Dunn, and they're looking for someone." And I'm like, never heard of them, but I'll go and speak to them. And the minute I walked in the door, I was like, wow, yeah, this is for me. And here we are 9 years later.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I'm sort of like in charge of the pre-construction team here. So it's been a great journey, and JE Dunn are a fantastic company.
Yeah, because even going in there at that stage with no local experience, obviously there's definitely different ways of delivering construction compared to the UK and the US.
Yeah.
How difficult was it making that transition and getting to know the local legislation, the laws, the rules, even the
Yeah,
measurements?
it was a lesson, but um, there's so many people here who know stuff, and know things and help you and things like that. It's funny you should say that because when I was at school I was at junior school in the late 60s, we were feet and inches. But then when I went to secondary school, it's all metric, millimeters, meters, etc. So to come here and to have people, I've had to revert back to square feet and inches again. It's been wild, and I've got to be honest with you. If it weren't for the software that we use, I think I would have struggled. Like trying to. I've looked at some of the imperial scale rules. I just don't think I would have been able to have done it.
Yeah,
But
technology, brilliant. That's exactly
yeah,
what you need, isn't it?
and that's what I'm all about as well. Like the technology that JE Dunn have as well. I embrace it. I absolutely love some of the stuff that we do here.
Talk to me now. That's a good pivot into technology. Pre-con tech, there's a lot. I mean, and anybody doesn't know, I met Paul Wilkins at Advancing Pre-Construction. We had an absolute ball up in Denver. But one of the big things that stood out to me at that conference was the amount of vendors, the amount of solutions for pre-construction technology. How impressed were you about advancing pre-construction? And then tell me about JE Dunn's tech stack and how does it benefit you and the team?
Gareth, you're right. I walked around and I looked at all these different vendors, and it's very impressive what they do. But I've got to tell you that there was nothing there that I haven't seen before that JE Dunn actually do at the moment. The minute I joined 8 years ago, they were already into 3D takeoff from Revit model and taking that takeoff and plonking it into their estimating software. I mean, that's all that time ago. There are some people just catching up with that today, and I've got to say that, we've got our own proprietary, estimating software that we use. The takeoffs there, we do use ACC as well. But I just feel that JE Dunn have really been on the forefront of, advancing the technology and always looking to see what's new out there and what they can use or what doesn't work for them. From that front, that I think they're one of the forerunners as far as technology is concerned.
Yeah, brilliant. And there's nothing better than going to those conferences and looking around and going, "Yeah, we're doing it right, or we're at
Yeah,
the right side of it," if you know what I mean.
yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, because I mean, JE Dunn as a national contractor, they're huge, as you say, different verticals, big projects, complex projects, and high volume. How important is it to have technology to be able to do it quickly? So take away the heavy lifting for you.
I think it's very important, so if you can get a Revit model, you can have a basic idea of how many tons of steel, how much concrete you've got in a couple of hours using the stuff that we've got. It's not, you know, it's really simple to use, and it's a benefit. And we can use, we always use our in-house takeoffs and stuff, as when we do start getting numbers in, that we making comparisons to what the trade partners are telling us that they're seeing. So we can make fair comparisons. The other thing that I really like, Gareth, and that I'm really into, I've kind of got a passion about it, is historical data. And that's, taking the prices of stuff that you've done 10, 15 years ago, escalating it to today's date, to today's values, um, adding a location factor because, that certain job might have been built in Florida or something, and coming up with a good price per square foot for all the different scope of work items that you'd have, that's good to take to an owner and say, hey, this is what we're seeing in the market today. This is our historical data. You could base your budget around these numbers. That side of it is, that I've got a lot of passion for that side of it.
And is that, do you think, because of your training in the UK? Because the UK, Ireland, Australia, South Africa, parts of Europe, that traditionally is the quantity surveying way of doing things. Do you think you've taken that and used it to your benefit in the US construction market?
I guess to a degree, yes. I do like the way that JE Dunn set their estimates out. There's so much detail in there. It's almost looking at a bill of quantities. When we're passing it, I mean, I've sent over just recently an estimate to one of our clients. It's 70 pages, and
Wow.
it's all broken down. All the square footage is there, all the takeoff is there, and so that if they've got a representative who, I've worked on jobs a couple of years ago where the client have actually hired quantity surveyors from the UK to do their cost control, and I'm working hand in hand with those guys. So, we're speaking the same language to start off with,
Yeah.
literally.
And that said, a lot of the consultancies do hire the quantity
Yeah.
surveyors. Do you ever get as VP? Do you? And this is always a topic on the podcast. Is this free con idea? How much of the pre-construction services do you try and claw back? I mean, obviously working with clients on huge projects, there's a lot of time and effort going into
Yeah.
pre-construction, a lot of resources. How do you manage that?
Gareth, you know, right from the get-go, if we've been awarded the job as a, construction manager, we part of our, services is the pre-construction side, and we'd like to get reimbursed for it. We might not get reimbursed for every single penny, but we certainly, put forward a pre-construction proposal, in the hope that we can get an agreement and get some of that money back.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's a necessity. I mean, I think it's got to be standardized to some degree, whether it be 30, 40% of the overall cost of
Yeah.
that pre-construction.
Well,
Brilliant.
when you think about it as well, though, some of the projects that we work on, it's not just the estimators who are working on it. We've got superintendents, we've got schedulers, we've got VDC people, and when you add all that money together, it comes to a fair few pounds.
Big time, absolutely. It needs to be accounted for when you're
Yeah,
thinking about the overall cost. Talk to
yeah.
me now about Oklahoma. You mentioned there's a lot going on. A new football stadium, 30,000. The Thunder new stadium. I think I saw as well that is the football stadium that MAPS project, the multi-purpose stadium near Brixton. Is that the one?
That's it.
Yeah, that
That's
looks
it. Yes.
that looks amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be brilliant, and I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think the model was so, they traveled around looking at different stadiums, and they saw the Kansas City, can't think what their name is, Sporting Kansas City, the MLS stadium there, and I think that's the kind of model that they're going to design this one around.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
there's so many stadiums being built right now. It's incredible. Obviously, everybody's ramping up for the World Cup in 2026. They come to the US. I mean, when you look at Atlanta Stadium, I mean, it is beautiful. Some of the new stadiums over in Southern California, they're taking stadiums to a new level.
yeah, I mean, to talk about the World Cup, I mean, what a pleasure that's going to be as well. I mean, I think we've already got a date to meet up and have a few beers and go and watch a couple
Absolutely.
of games, and to go and watch a country. I mean, I don't care where they're playing. I'll be going to that. I'll
Yeah,
be going to every game.
yeah.
So,
No, no.
what a great thing.
I know the US held it in '94, but I think it's going to be exceptional, and I think they're more ready now with the amount of top class global
Yeah,
standard stadiums that they've built over the last
yeah,
decade. I mean, every time I look on construction day, there's a new stadium being designed. It's somewhere.
yeah, yeah. And like I say, that's where JE Dunn, you know, we have got a specialised sports group. So, at looking at things like that, and yeah, they've got their finger on the button as to what's coming and when it's coming.
Yeah, brilliant. And you mentioned there that you it's shared services. So if there's a data center that they need extra resources on, how good is that coming on the work, not knowing what you're going to be working on or what you're going to be dragged into?
It's absolutely amazing, to be honest with you. Like our work set here in Oklahoma, because it is a popular place at the moment. It's just so diverse. We're actually at the moment we're working on a new enclosure at the zoo. We're building, some medical office buildings. We're building a hangar at the airport. We're doing all these different jobs that, It's just been an absolute pleasure. Honestly, the last 8 years we've built a tower block down here. We're working at the big universities here, Oklahoma University, OSU. It's just amazing the diversity of the work that's here. But I guess that's what you get when you've got these cities that are just mushrooming. I
Yeah,
mean, in
they're
the past 10 years that I've been here, Gareth, the change has been incredible.
yeah,
It's just
all for the
incredible.
better, all for the
Oh
better as
yeah,
well.
absolutely. And people are actually coming here from all over the country to actually, settle and stay here.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, you look at the other boom towns, the likes of Atlanta, they've all got traffic problems. Is Oklahoma a hope that they're looking after the infrastructure and not just building all these massive stadiums and these residential towers and residential suburbs and communities? Are they keeping up with the infrastructure?
I think they are. There's always something going on the roads here, and they're making improvements. And the population is not quite to a place where it's a problem at the moment. So, the commuting's not bad. Um, but with that being said, they're now talking about building a rail system and things like that, getting people out from the suburbs into the city. So all for the future. But it's not been an absolute privilege to play a very small part in this generation of a brand new city.
Brilliant. And you mentioned there CM at risk as a delivery method. Do you find that you're doing a lot of CM at risk at the minute, or is there more design build, design bid build? What's the normal method in Oklahoma?
Yeah, I'd say CM at risk was the normal delivery method here in Oklahoma City. And funnily enough, up until recently, um, it used to be just a hard bid thing. If there was like the convention center that got built a few years back, it was a straight hard bid. And JE Dunn tend to, not get involved in those, sort of competitions. But because that one was so prestigious, we did take part in it and we came second. So
Ah, ha, 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 very good. Well, good
yeah,
experience.
yeah, it was. It was good for the team, but disappointing in the same breath.
There's never a dictated positives from it. And one thing that you caught my mind when you were talking about, I mean, the massive projects or the billion-dollar projects, you mentioned it when you were talking about your role right now when it comes to cost and scheduling. Talk to me about scheduling because scheduling for me wasn't typically used in non-residential and commercial construction, especially. It was more in the infrastructure, oil and gas, power plant construction. But I'm seeing it cropping up way more now, and P6 being the go-to.
Yeah, yeah, we've got specialist schedulers. That's what they do. 40 hours a week, 5 days a week. They use P6 at JE Dunn, and that's what they do. They grind out these schedules to suit the projects we're working on. Because when you look at some of these mega projects, Gareth, it's speed to market is that's all they're interested in.
Yeah,
They want to get that building up and running as soon as they can, so they can start getting the money back from it.
yeah.
Um,
And how helpful is that to the pre-construction and your team? Because it really keeps everything on track and delivery more accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. And we set schedules in pre-con as well as the construction side of it as well. We're telling the owner, yeah, we're going to be sending out bid package one on this day with the view to getting numbers back on this day, and we're giving you a GMP on that day. So like, the schedules are showing the whole pre-construction phase as well as the construction phase as well.
Brilliant.
But yeah, to answer your question in short, we have, we've got people that is their job scheduling.
Yeah, yeah, and scheduling. We're actually doing a mini series on scheduling now as well. And they think, and one of the guests described it perfectly. It's almost like the navigator that navigates it from very early on. So getting involved in conceptual estimating, conceptual of the actual product, and then seeing it through operations, and it kind of alleviates the handover a little bit. So the handover
Yeah,
from pre-construction to operations Um, would you find that that is one of the most crucial parts?
Oh, it's definitely one of the most crucial parts. And the other thing about the schedulers we have as well is that they're not sitting in a silo. They're coming to us and they're coming to the superintendents. They're working together and saying, hey, I'm looking at this phase. It's going to take so many months. Do you agree with me that this is going to go on there and this, then on the other? And, it's a team effort. The scheduler's the guy who's taking, the input from everybody else and just adding it into that P6.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. It's going to be exciting seeing it come more into commercial construction. So talk to me now a little bit about Oklahoma. What's exciting? We talked about a couple of projects and coming up. I mean, you mentioned a change in the last 10 years. It sounds as if it's going to change a lot in the next 10 years as well.
Yeah, well, I know we just spoke about the new football stadium, but we've got a basketball team here, Oklahoma City Thunder. There's just been a mandate passed that they're going to be building a brand new arena here that's going to be over $1 billion here downtown. And you know, as the old saying goes, if you build it, they will come. And I've been to a few games. I mean, the atmosphere in the one we've got now is pretty good. I mean, I just can't imagine what it's going to be like in a huge, stadium like that. And I'm sure that when that's built, that we've got other things going on as well. I mean, I know one of your other guests was from Oklahoma, Gareth. I can't think of his name, but
Aaron Yeck, yeah.
he yes, he spoke about the couple of events that we're going to be showing here for the Olympic Games in 2028. So, we've got all that set up, and there's going to be offshoots and other things from that. I mean, even the soccer stadium, you think they're not just going to plonk a soccer stadium there and say, yeah, job done. There's going to be everything around there, concessions, restaurants. It's going to be a real good time. And, I just, like I said to you earlier, it's been an absolute privilege to have the opportunity to be here and witness all of this.
Brilliant. I love it. And even when I spoke to you at Advancing Pre-Construction, I could feel the passion you have for Oklahoma, and it was kind of an idea. You didn't want to shout too loud so that loads of people just started arriving. But it is like the standard of living there, the work-life balance. It's really considerate.
It is. It's very good. I mean, you just have to look, go online and look at the cost of some of the housing here is very reasonable, and the school systems are good, for young families, bringing in young families, and God, I dread to think how many restaurants and things like that there are here as well, and pubs, and there's plenty to do, and obviously there's more coming.
Yeah, love it. And more people coming as well. So a healthy market. So talk to me now, Paul, about advancing pre-con. The rumor is it's in San Diego next year. Are you up for catching up in San Diego?
I'm definitely going to go. I look forward to seeing you. We'll have a few pints again and have the crack.
Yeah,
And
I honestly can't think of a reason not to go. A lot of people reach out to me and say, "Listen, Gareth, you were at Advancing Pre-Construction. What did you think?" Don't get me wrong. The vendors, the pre-con estimating tech companies are brilliant. Being able to demo maybe seven, eight pieces of technology in the over 2 days, it's amazing. It is, but it's the networking that really gets me. It's the
yeah.
ideas, the questions you can bounce off each other, the talks that are on. Do you get a lot of value from it?
Oh, absolutely. Without blowing your trumpet, I mean, it was great just to meet you in person. Do you know what I mean? I know yourself, you've got a passion about pre-construction and the way things are going in the industry, and that's like a breath of fresh air to me when I speak to people like yourself, and all the people we met on the couple of nights out we had, all got the same goals, all got the same passion about pre-con.
There's no
Just
doubt
love
about
it.
it. The happy hours were getting out of hand a little bit, Paul, but in a good way. It was
You
fun
speak for
times.
yourself. Speak for yourself.
Brilliant. Well, listen, Paul, this has been brilliant. Understanding your journey, finding out about Oklahoma, JE Dunn has been really helpful. If there's anybody listening now and going, you know what, Paul touched on a couple of things that I would like to kind of continue the conversation with. Where's the best place to get you?
Yeah, they can. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. You can just just contact me on there. Happy to speak to anyone and share my life's journey with
Brilliant.
anybody.
I love it. Well, folks, if you are interested, I will put in the show notes below, I'll put the link to Paul Wilkins' LinkedIn profile, so you can hit him up there. Now, don't be asking him anything about football because as a West Ham fan, knows very little.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything. I'll wait till I see you next time.
You're not going to bite. Oh, I'm going to get a clip down here. Well, you better hope that West Ham have a few wins under their belt and are looking a lot more pretty.
Well, hopefully there's a few people watching or listening in that haven't got a Premiership team and you know prefer the underdog rather than picking out the people who win every damn year like Liverpool. And they might want to pick a team that is up and coming and it's a work in progress. So West Ham United is the way to go.
There you are. We've got a pre-con West Ham United meetup event at San Diego next year. There you go. The supporters club. I love it. Paul, as always, sir, it's a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for your time.
Nice to speak to you, mate. See you later on.